Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Portland Film Productions first ever podcast. This is our pilot episode, and today we will be reviewing Reservoir Dogs, Quentin Tarantino's debut film into what we know as Tarantino films. So, I am your host, Richard Brown. To my left here is...
I'm Matthew Bourgeois. I'm the local movie buff. How's it going, guys?
To my right is...
I'm Patrick Bolt. I'm a critic. Let's do this.
That's right. So, I would like to give two quick warnings, I guess you could say. One, we don't have very much time in this space that we have. We're kind of have it reserved from the University of Portland. So we're going to be kind of shutting off. We're also going to be checking times occasionally. So if you see us doing something weird like squinting our eyes, that's why. So yeah. And also, we will say this right now. Spoilers in case for anyone who hasn't seen this movie. But again, this movie came out in 1992. So if you haven't seen it yet, pause this video. Go watch it. It's on Netflix. It's easy to find. Just watch it, then when you're done with it, come back and continue watching this video for a review by people,
Yeah. And if you don't know
young adults.
Yeah. If you don't know who Quentin Tarantino is, that's a big problem.
Yeah.
Go figure out who he is, and...
The best way to do it is to watch Reservoir Dogs, because this is his debut film. This is what put him on the map.
Well...
So...
It is.
That's for what I'm saying.
It put him on the map for Pulp Fiction. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah.
That's a later review.
Yeah, this is before Pulp Fiction, before Inglourious Bastards.
Before Hateful Eight, before Django Unchained, all this stuff. But anyway, so that's all of it. So that's our intro stuff. So yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. Hope you guys enjoy this, and we'll continue with this, one-on-one introduction real quick once by the end. But yeah, so anyway, let's begin. Gentlemen, what did you think of Reservoir Dogs? Matthew, let's start with you.
Well, this, without a doubt, is one of Quentin Tarantino's best films ever. And, again, this is his directorial feature film debut. His first film he's doing. Wow. I mean, this...
That's an understatement, honestly.
Well, that might be one of the biggest understatements ever. But for a first try, this was pretty damn good. I mean... He came out swinging. The acting, the dialogue, the screenwriting, everything to the iconic scenes, we'll get to those later, were so unbelievably good. The soundtrack was so good. It fit everywhere. It was so good. And again, this is probably, if not the greatest independent film of all time. I have nothing but praise for it. What a great job.
Yeah. So, Patrick, your thoughts?
Building off of what you just said, how it was a great independent film. It was more than that. It redefined independent films. It gave people the focus of look at what this one man can do, given enough equipment, and then we get Reservoir Dogs, and it's just yes, for our first one, it's obviously amazing. I mean, it's a challenge just to come up with for your first film to come off as brilliant, but somehow Quentin Tarantino did it, and even more importantly, it's it already has everything you'd want in a Tarantino film. It's got the dialogue, it's got whatever action happens, you feel satisfied, and you get this you're part of a ride, and you're with the characters, and it just feels awesome.
Yeah, honestly, that's really similar to my opinions on Reservoir Dogs. I mean, it's like pretty much what we've been saying. It's just wow. It's a wow of a film. It's brilliant. I mean, something that was introduced at Sundance Film Festival by a guy who's tried making films, and he's come up with this big debut film, and it was just brilliant. I mean, the acting, the dialogue, it was literally why people say that's a Tarantino film is started with Reservoir Dogs. I mean, it was just memorable. I mean, again, if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's definitely a film. I would find it hard for people to say, yeah, you don't need to watch it, or it's not that great. People who say that, I'm honestly wow, it's just that great of a film.
Okay.
And
well, you need to watch it because it also sets up the Quentin Tarantino universe.
Exactly.
It does. They're all connected.
Well, I don't know about Inglourious Bastards. I mean,
hey, we don't know. It's in the
they
past.
They could all be watching a movie like Pulp Fiction and Mr. Blonde, Mr. White, and Jules. They all could be kicking back watching a movie
And for all we know, that movie might be Inglourious Bastards, so we won't know for sure.
Yeah, I doubt that though, but no.
But
yeah. So I mean, honestly, I just want to kind of go into just kind of go a little more in depth into the film. So I'm going to start with a question. So I mean, one question that we talked about beforehand is kind of the idea of potential flaws in this film. And let's start with the negative aspect of Reservoir Dogs, if there even is any, honestly. So I mean, if you find any flaws with the characters, the dialogue, the acting, well, obviously the characters and acting, but the plot, something like that, any flaw you can think of the film that could have been done better,
Well, I mean, one thing that I always wondered was and this is something that always bugs me in films. Honestly, is when Mr. White is shooting those two cops in the thing, and then he releases his clip. I always wondered, shouldn't you pick that up because your fingerprints are going to be on that, right? So I mean, that's a small, really minute detail, but that's always one thing that bothers me about films is I at least feel these criminals are master criminals or really good, smart criminals or professional criminals. That's important because if you leave that clip, couldn't the cops be able to trace your fingerprints and then you're totally busted? I mean, I feel like.
Well, I mean, quite frankly, he was already busted to begin with,
Well, no, he wasn't.
No, I mean, you remember the ending. I mean, Mr. Orange pretty much telling the interrogated cop that they're waiting for everyone.
Well, yeah, but I mean, up until the point, I mean, the only thing he did is meeting Mr. Orange. That's what kind of busted him. But other than that, I mean, everything else I feel like is pretty minute. I mean, I can't really. It's just this film is so hard. I can't. This is probably one of the hardest films to scrutinize at all. I mean. I don't know. I mean, Rotten Tomatoes gave it 90%. I guess there's some room to make up for. I mean,
I think Metacritic gave it something in the 70s.
Gave it a 70. That's pretty good for Metacritic. But
yeah.
But I mean, there's really not much you can screw. I mean, maybe in terms of themes, because this is all kind of this is a story, I guess, and it's a non-linear story. But I mean, sometimes films are just meant to be stories. So I mean, unless if you want to have multiple things, I mean, the difference between this film and maybe Pulp Fiction is that. There's a lot of themes going on that are important, and there's more than one theme. Where this one kind of has one underlying thing, where no theme at all. But you know what? Sometimes that might be the only thing, but that's pretty nitty picky. So
So I mean, unless you digest and dissect the thing, really scrutiny. I mean, you would find flaws, but all around,
you need to use
not much flaws really.
Yeah, you need to use a microscope for that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what about your opinions? I mean,
the only thing I really noticed was as I started watching the film, some of the dialogue seemed the opening dialogue did seem a little bit slow at times. It did seem not necessarily repetitive, but it felt like it kept cycling. And I understand that because they're telling a story or something, and they're using some of the same words. I don't know though. It I feel like it could have been a little bit better. Could have been a little bit more spiced up a bit. I feel like when you keep hearing what they're saying over and over again, it almost sounds like you're listening to some sort of repeat of it, and that's the only thing I really noticed because otherwise I don't know, by the time you start watching the restaurant scene and start when you see how they start interacting, eventually you'll given enough time you'll understand who everyone is, and then from there you're set. So yeah.
I mean, I don't really view that as a weak thing actually, because it makes me care for these characters because, I mean, yeah, they're you have Quentin Tarantino. He's Mr. Brown. He's not even a main character, but yet I kind of like him because he's talking about a virgin from Madonna and just giving his interpretation of how a girl is being banged so freaking hard. It's she's a virgin because it's the first time she's being banged so hard, and it was so funny. And then I love hear this. This is the world's smallest violin playing for the waitresses. I mean, that's good, funny dialogue, and it really what it does is they make these characters not your standard oh, I'm a bad guy, bank robber. I'm gonna go rob you.
They give him personalities. They give him a character.
Yeah, and
they make him likable.
Yeah,
So, they make him likable in different ways too.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with you there. I feel like that gives it strength. That scene gives it some strength and gives these characters personality to start off with.
I would agree with that statement. Yeah, I mean, though, I mean, yeah, I do understand.
I don't know. I can't tell how many times I felt like I kept hearing the word "dick" coming out about. I know. Obviously, they're repeating it, but
well, I mean, because the fact that Tarantino said "dick" 4 times in a row.
Well,
I know.
Into his character.
First of all, you understand this is a Quentin Tarantino film. If any of you guys have not seen a Quentin Tarantino film, you need to understand.
Yeah.
It's all. There's so much profanity in every Quentin Tarantino film. You should
profanity,
understand
violence, all this stuff. So
yeah.
I mean, but once again, I mean, if you're watching this, you've most likely have seen at least one Tarantino film. So I mean, this is a nameless, thing. So if you haven't, again, stop this video. But that's one thing you have to understand.
I don't know. Yeah, I understand that's part of his style. So that's why it's not a major thing. It's just something that's even for a Quentin Tarantino film, you start to wonder a little bit.
Yeah, but no.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Move the mouse. Sorry, the computer was starting to go dark, you know. But I will say, to answer my own question for the flaws, I mean, honestly, like you, I mean, unless I just go in and use a microscope and really, and surgically dissect everything about the film, I really can't find flaws about it. I mean, again, I kind of agree with him talking about the opening scene. What I liked about it was that it gave them character. And yeah, they did the same thing repeat, but like, it's kind of those things like with the conversation that when you talk about like a song or whatever really you're talking about when it comes to something like that, like interpretation of what it means, you're going to start saying the same things over and over again. And then when you get the conversation with the waitress, that's pretty much their two conversations is this.
Yeah,
like
that's the dialogue I like to hear. I loved that. Was really fun to watch. That was really, that made me just start loving the characters inside.
And I mean, if you don't mind, but also it's like other than that, really, I really didn't find anything I didn't like about the film. I mean, even like people have couldn't really take the Mr. Blonde's interrogation, the ear stuff like that. But I mean, like honestly, I mean, if you can't handle that, okay. But I mean, other than that, I mean, but I enjoyed it. Like it gave them character. Like it really emphasized like his like psychotic nature. Yeah. And so it showed all this stuff, and so I thought it was just great. I mean, like, all the characters, though, I mean, they all one way or another lose. Like the bad guys lose, in this film. And so
nobody wins.
Exactly, except the cops, really. But I mean, even then they still lost.
Yeah, because they lose to cops because
Right, but I mean, this is another thing I would say that this one's really questionable because again, it depends on your point of view, like the length of the film. Because honestly, this is a pretty short film. This is only an hour and 40 minutes long.
Yeah.
So I mean,
but time isn't everything, and so given the time it had. It felt like I didn't feel like there were any parts where it could have been more, even though it deliberately kept some parts not shown. It showed only what needed to be shown, and that's why I did.
And I mean, and provided you have to understand the context that he was, debuting it in.
This is an independent film. Nobody knew who Quentin Tarantino was until this film came out.
Yeah, and so you don't want to have your debut film be like a 2.5 hour film, especially at Sundance. I mean, there probably have been film entries at Sundance that have been really, really long, but typically when you're trying to get these things in this, the lead actor is literally one of your producers. You kind of want to be on the safe side almost and make sure you don't go too long. I mean, you could say though some things could have been longer, some things could have been this and this. Yeah, but I mean, all around, I mean, I wouldn't say length is a bad thing. I think length is perfect. Well, honestly.
This is funny because then he goes from this to Pulp Fiction. That film's got about more than an hour of time over this film. So, but I mean, obviously, I mean, like, not every film can be like a Lord of the Rings film length in 3 hours and hold its time.
Yeah.
And a lot of big complaints these days is everyone hates like a film going 2 hours to 2 hours and 30 minutes. Well, for all those people who hate those films, this is your film. I mean, if you want short and concise and to the point, this is it. I mean, and for those who want it to be stretched out, that's the only thing I can say is maybe you want more. I mean, I could have used some more Mr. Blonde, honestly, because I love Mr. Blonde the most of all the characters, and I feel like I wish we could have got more time with them, but at the same time, budget and time and cost, that probably was maybe the major factor in this. But, I mean, other than that, nothing wrong with it.
And actually, I will say kind of as a segue, when you're talking about Mr. Blonde, I kind of want to ask another question that's pretty much about focusing on the characters themselves. And you could talk about the actors if you want, but I mean, kind of focus on the characters. Like you know, I mean, you can explain it. I definitely hope you do. Like you love Mr. Blonde. You like him, and I mean, you say you even say you like Mr. Plink is your character more or less. And so we have this thing. So it's like I mean, of all the characters, I mean, we can talk about Tarantino's cameo. I mean, which is something that he always does almost every single film. But so it's like who's your favorite character, pretty much, and why? It's like of all the six, like why is this the character you
of all the characters? Mr. Blonde, Mr. Brown, Mr. Blue,
Mr.
Pink, and then Mr. White.
Yeah, and Mr. Orange.
Yeah, Mr. Orange too.
Yeah, and then you have Joe, and then you have Joe's kid.
Nice Guy Eddie.
Nice guy,
yeah,
exactly.
And then the old guy who's behind the desk,
or the police officer,
or
police officer.
He's my favorite character. He got caught off everything.
A poor guy. I mean, what a horrible way to go.
I know, and I really it really makes you hate Mr. Blue at that one point where he's
Mr. Blonde.
Mr. Blonde.
No, Blue. Remember at the end when he was like, oh, what cop? This cop?
That was Nice Guy Eddie.
Oh.
Yeah,
No.
Mr. Blue's the old guy who's like only in 2 scenes in the entire film.
That's him. That's Mr. Blue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mr. Blue.
Man, I knew this was gonna happen.
That's why I'm the
I-
movie buff. I know these
I
things.
know.
It's sad. I really wish I could. Like, I feel like I'm having a Rogue One experience, where like I watched the movie, but I don't know the characters. Like, it's sad. You think that wouldn't happen? They're misters.
Hey, it's
Wait,
just like
but
Rogue
it's
One.
like-
Rogue One, and they all die.
Yeah, but here's the thing though.
Wow.
That's a completely other
wow,
review.
Sad.
That's a completely other review. Let's make sure we don't start talking about other films. Let's try and focus on
Yeah.
Reservoir Dogs. So you like Mr. Blonde. So why don't you explain to us and the audience, why you like it? Like, why Mr. Blonde out of all of them? Why Mr. Blonde?
Well, for it, I mean, this is probably, if not Quentin Tarantino's most famous scene, and he stars in. I mean, it's just everything about him. I mean, he comes up. He's a psychopath person, which the two guys like Joe and Nice Guy don't know about. But then Mr. White discovers his nature when he killed all the people. But you hear about this, and you are hearing it throughout the film, and you don't know it until the scene comes along, and then he goes up to the cops like, "No, I'm not gonna bullshit you. I am gonna torture you, and you ain't. And if you're hoping for a slow death, you ain't gonna get it."
Mm-hmm.
And so then he goes like, "There's something
Yeah.
and he's going and he's dancing to semi music, and then he's slashing it like gleefully, and then he cuts his ear off on screen, and then shows us like, "Hello, anyone there?" And then it's so horrifying because the guy is literally cutting his guy, and then grabs a can of gasoline, is gonna douse him. And then I just love his final line before he dies, like, "How about a fire, Scarecrow?" Just a great reference there, but it's like,
Yeah, but no. So I mean, it's just kind of like just how he pretty much carries himself out, more or less. Then.
yeah, I mean, he just was so iconic for that one scene, and just so interesting. And this is the thing about Quentin Tarantino, honestly, is he makes characters that shouldn't be relatable or likable, and he makes them likable.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I end up liking.
They're the bad guys, but he makes them likable enough to believe. And
I know.
so
I
it's
just
like,
love the idea. Listen, little doggy, are you gonna bark all day? Or are you gonna bite? I mean, what a great quote, and what a great phrase to say. It's just everything about him. The way it's just how he carried himself was just so good. I mean, and again, you have to give praise to Michael Madsen for playing this character. And the weirdest thing is, it's just so funny because apparently he had a hard time doing the scene because when the guy who plays the police officer says, "Stop, I got a kid," Michael Madsen really had a hard time doing this scene because it really affected him deeply. So it just gives me more respect for him that, wow, he was able to go through with this. And just that scene, he's just the most iconic character for that movie for me, and the one I think of the most. I mean, but the only problem though is he only gets so short screen time. He's my favorite character, but if I had to choose the best actor and character, probably for that would be Mr. Pink because
yeah, but provide the quick and say who's like your favorite. So I mean,
but I mean, if I had to,
if I had to choose the best, you would say Mr. Pink.
Well, the best because I mean it's the best acting because Steve Buscemi gives a hell of a role as Mr. Pink, and he's so good. I mean, with the little waitress thing, and then just talking in general, it's just how he carries him, and then of course he's the only one to get out of it who doesn't die on screen.
Yeah.
So I just liked him a lot. He was great, but obviously if I had a lot more Mr. Blonde, I would love it so much.
Yeah. So I mean, what about you?
Yeah, I feel like Mr. Pink for me is the definitive character of Reservoir Dogs because he always he keeps his role consistent. He's the professional of the bad guys. He's the guy who's in it for being a professional. He doesn't care when Mr. White tries to tell him his name, he's like, "No, I don't want to know that. I don't want to know that shit." And so it's like you can see just how he really sticks true to that character, and all throughout. It's like, hey, we're supposed to be professionals. He constantly keeps stressing that, and by the time you end up believing it, and so it really holds true what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It is there's something about Mr. Pink that's just amazing to look at. It's just from the way he acts at the bar, when he talks about the waitress, to how he's like, why do I have to be Mr. Pink? It's just it's very easy to invest in him really quickly.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say my favorite character, honestly, I mean, would it have to just be Mr. White? Just because I don't know. I mean, it's kind of I really can't articulate it well enough, but I felt like he was a kind of a father figure almost, in a sense. I mean, again, kind of bad terminology with stuff like that. I
Yeah,
understand,
no,
but
I don't think father figure.
I know, but
quite
I say
feels-
that mainly just because it's like when
Hey,
he's
Daddy, I'm
with
gonna.
nah. When he's talking to Mr. Orange, like he's telling him you're not gonna die, you're not gonna do this. He's trying to take care of him. He's trying to be a caretaker kind of thing,
You're hurt.
And
You're hurt real fucking bad, but
Exactly.
you ain't dying.
Exactly, but I mean, but that's the thing. And so it's like that, he's this guy who's kind of clearly been doing this for a while, He knows the ropes and all this stuff, But at the same time, though, he still cares about the people he works with. And, like, he's friends with Joe and his kid and all that stuff, But, like, he's still... And the job has gone all wrong.
Yeah.
So, but he's still trying to keep things together, And, like, and when when he's getting the argument with Mr. Blonde and all that stuff, it's like he's getting mad at Mr. Pink, same thing. It's like he's, like, trying to keep things together, trying to keep people level-headed. And, so that's why I say father figure kind of thing. Is like he's this, like kind of commanding role almost. That stereotypical meaning of that. So he's kind of like trying to keep control of the situation, even though the situation is just out of control in the first place. So it's but I liked him because he was just a nice guy. Even though he was a criminal, he's still a nice guy.
He's got got the humanity with
exactly.
it.
So I mean, and that's one thing I like about him. Well, yeah, but I mean,
but at the same time, like he's like. He doesn't want to work with a psychopath, and like he's sympathetic to like Mr. Orange.
But I mean, he had to kill those 2 police officers.
Oh no, but here's the thing. But that's what I'm saying. Like he's a criminal, so he does things that are obviously morally.
Like, he's a criminal with like a code, sort of.
Yeah, kind of. It's like the cops are always the guys you kill. That kind of thing. It's like you
they
always
try
kill
to
the
do
cop,
that.
but the guys you work with, you don't kill, and you always stick together.
You also don't try to kill civilians because I mean,
exactly.
Like how he was saying, like to Mr. Ping, like, who'd you kill? Oh, it was. Oh, he killed a cop. Oh, that's a nobody. Because it's like, well, because that's just the kind of like the enemy. Where you kill a civilian like Mr. Blonde, it's like that's taboo. You're not supposed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so yeah, the only thing is like, well, yeah, he's a father figure up until the point where he has to.
Well, no, but I mean, at the same time, though, it's like that's when he's like, accepting. It's like, wow, Mr. Orange was the rat and all that stuff, and he's like, well, you're dying. You literally have 2 bullet holes in him, which is also one thing about Tarantino is that if you look at it, it's just. The amount of blood that's spilling around Mr. Orange should have killed him.
Yeah.
But so like
in Tarantino films, there's blood.
Yeah.
That might be the only other flaw in this film of how much blood is coming out of Mr. Orange.
And how Mr. Orange didn't die. Because
Exactly.
realistically, he should have died. Just by being.
Well, he did die.
Well, I know, but like he got shot twice. He got shot by that one lady in the car, and then he got shot by Joe, and he didn't die from that shot by Joe. It's like, no, he should be dead by now.
Yeah, like he should have died halfway into the movie. He should have like maybe died like. That final act when he stops Mr. Blonde, that probably should have killed him eventually. Like,
yeah,
he should have passed out or something.
He definitely didn't have the energy or at all to stay.
Because let's shoot you in the stomach with like 2 or 3 bullets. So let's see how long you last.
Well, I mean, I will say, and if you technically get shot in the stomach, you don't die until 3 days later. However, that's I think under the good enough conditions to where it's not so good to where you can be rescued, but it's good enough to where you can stay alive. But in that case, though, he literally had no medical attention at all. He was left there bleeding. They even stopped the bleeding. He was there, so he should have been dead.
Well, what can you do?
I know, but that's just for the sake of the film, though. Even with that, it still worked out great for it's a great dialogue, great characters.
Yeah,
everything was just fantastic. But anyway, I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna have to cut us off here because I noticed. The time we're starting to go a little long. So once again, everyone, thank you very much for tuning in to us. We really greatly appreciate it. If you have any suggestions for us for future films even, or more particularly like how we should do our podcasts and whatnot, go ahead and leave a comment because it would definitely help us out. If you don't, I mean, because we'll keep trying things. This is the pilot episode. We'll have 1 or 2 more, semi-pilot episodes, so trying out different, styles. So yeah, so once again, thank you very much for watching. Leave some comments. If you like the video, go ahead and like it. You don't have to subscribe or anything. I'm not expecting you to do that. But so yeah, thank you once again. I'm Richard Brown. This is
Matthew Bourgeois.
And
Patrick Bolt.
Yep. And so once again, thank you, and you have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.